Okay. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil mursaleen wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een wa ala man tabi'a hudahum ila yawmiddin. Today on the 17th of Al-Muharram 1446, which coincides with the 23rd of July 2024, we're starting a new book which is entitled Aqeedah Salafi wa Ashab al-Hadith by Imam As-Sabuni, may Allah have mercy upon him, which is the explanation of the Aqeedah, the creed of the Salaf and the people of Hadith by Abu Uthman As-Sabuni rahimahullah. This will be the first class inshallah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه وعلى من تبع هداه إلى يوم يلقاه أما بعد. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless our day and bless our class and our majlis to start explaining one of the books of the Aqeedah, where we're going to be inshallah making the student Ahmed to recite from the matan, which is the text, what Imam Abu Uthman As-Sabuni said in his Aqeedah, and then after that we will elaborate. So please, while you are with me at the moment, download any PDF of the translation of that matan, or if you have the Arabic ability, then download the matan of the Aqeedah. And as for the explanation, it's not from one book or two or three. I'm gathering everything that I can in order to make it a special explanation. And on the internet, I have seen that very, very few, rare, that this book has been explained in, inshallah, in detail. So this is the book, and we're going to just talk about number one, about the author, then about the book itself, then about what is in the book. So let's just go to a short biography to Al-Imam Abu Uthman. His name, this is his kunya, Abu Uthman. His name is Ismail ibn Abdul Rahman, and he's known as to be As-Sabuni, and also is known to be An-Naysaburi. We're going to explain in each one of these that we have just said. As for As-Sabuni, Sabuni means soap. The soap you wash your hands with. So normally it is the case, the families that the people are attributed to, they trace themselves to a story that happens to their great-grandfather or the area that he comes from. Like my name comes from Abul Hajj. Hajj means Hajj. And in my story, that my fifth grandfather, he had done Hajj first time in his camel from his area. So it's called Hajj. Person which I met while I was in Jordan, I was trying to bring stuff from one place to another, and he's bringing it to me with his truck. So I'm with him, I'm chit-chatting. So I said to him, what's your name? He said, so and so. From which family? So he said, Sub Laban. Now he laughed because he knew the meaning of it. He's an Arab, that's why. Sub Laban. So I was curious to know what is the story behind it. Sub Laban means poor milk. Poor milk, please. So he's from the family of poor milk. So he said to me that there are some narrations about his great-grandfather, that he was a righteous person, and he used to help the people who are poor, the ones who don't have food to eat. One day there was a person selling laban, which is like milk. It's not milk, it's like some sort of yogurt, but it's milky yogurt. Okay, it's like the ayran. So he saw some orphans and he wanted to give them, but he doesn't have cups. The guy who was selling them didn't have any cups. So he brought his shwal. Shwal, it means like a sack, but a sack to carry, for example, wheat or barley, because the wheat and barley seeds are a bit big, they will not fall out of the sack. But if you put any liquid, it will come out, because it's not really watertight, waterproof. So he said to him, put in this, I'm going to give to the orphans. So he said to him, well, Sheikh, uncle, grandpa, it doesn't work because it's going to go off. He said, just put into it. Somehow he put into it, and the milk just sort of like made a bit harder and settled at the bottom and prevented any liquid to go through. Since that time, he was called Sublaban. And his family who came afterwards, hundreds of people, called Sublaban. This is not the story I'm talking about here. There's another one which is linked to this that inshallah will make you to be entertained with a joke, halal. And that is, after a few months, I was exactly doing the same thing. Try to load some stuff from the capital city to my city. So I took another truck. It's like a pickup. And there was another man, and he's taking me to my city. While he's taking me to my city, I'm chit-chatting with him. So I said to him, what's your name? He said, so-and-so. From which family? He said, and by Allah, he said, Ushrug Laban. Ushrug Laban. Now, Ushrug Laban, Laban means the same milk. But here, it's like you are making a hole in the sack. So I said, did you have any connection with Sub Laban? That person, he had put it in the sack to put the yogurt or the milk. And your father, he came and make a hole into it because she has Ushrug Laban. He said, can't trace it to, but anyway, that's the Sabuni. Sabuni, it links to somebody from his family that they used to make soap. That's the word Sabuni. And you have to be careful when you say Qala Sabuni. You have to say Qala al-Imam Abu Uthman al-Sabuni. The reason behind this, when you say al-Sabuni, there is a recent Sabuni who is deviant. He's not upon the Salafi manhaj. He had made a book called Safwat al-Tafasir in which he had said that this is Ibn Kathir and he's going to take the non-authentic ahadith and put it there, but he did not, because he's not really a person of muhaddith. And the scholars had warned against that tafsir of As-Sabuni. Sabuni, which is the one which is, he died, but the thing is, it's very recent. So Abu Uthman al-Sabuni is the one that we talk about. It's different from the Sabuni. When you say Sabuni, be careful whom you're going to be distinguishing. So it's Abu Uthman al-Sabuni. This person also is attributed to Naysabur. Naysabur, which we call it in English, Nayshabur. What it reminds you? It reminds you of what? Imam Muslim. Imam Muslim, he was from that area. He's from an area which called, our town is called Mashhad. In English, Mashhad, it's Mashhad. That's where he was. Imam Muslim ibn Hajjaj al-Qushayri, rahimahullah, the one who did the book of second after Bukhari in terms of authenticity. So he came from the area of Khurasan. This is the northern of Iran. This Khurasan, Tabaristan, and all of these areas, northern of Iran. It was not Iran at that time. Okay. Where so many scholars, they came from that areas, as we're going to see. So many scholars. This person, our man, Abu Uthman Ismail ibn Abdul Rahman al-Sabuni, he's a Shafi'i as well, Shafi'i madhab. He was born in Herat. Herat is now one of the cities of Afghanistan. Remember, Afghanistan and Iran are borders to each other. So he's in Herat, and Herat is the city in Afghanistan. And it's not far away from Naysabur. Because we're going to talk about it when he says, why did he make this book? He's going to mention some of those cities so we understand. طيب. His father and his mother are from the people of knowledge. Now his father, he was killed. And you will be surprised why he was killed. He was killed because of a ta'assub al-madhabi. Meaning blind followers to a certain madhab, they don't tolerate that you adopt another madhab. There was a big fight between the Hanafis, for example, and those who are Shafi'is, not to say the Hanbali, but Hanbali came later on. If you went to the Bilad ma ba'da al-Nahrain, which is the Bilad of Khurasan or the Ahnaf, the Hanafi, they spread, and you started moving your finger like the Malikis, or they might cut it off for you in the prayer. This is how the blind followers they were. So they killed his father. His father used to be a scholar of teaching, and he took over from him. And he was 9 years old when he ascended the chair to teach. Al-Imam Abu Uthman Ismail ibn Abdul Rahman Al-Sabuni Al-Naysaburi Al-Shafi'i. He is Hafiz, Mufassir. That means Hafiz means we call him Hafiz, that means he's got Hifz in terms of Quran, Hadith, Mutun, Hifz. And he is also Mufassir, that is interpretation of the Quran. He is Muhaddith, also for the Hadiths, specialties. And he's Faqih, and I don't know, we call it Fiqh, jurisprudence, or yeah. So Mufaqqih, he is Wa'idh, admonisher, and he is named as well Shaykhul Islam, as we're going to see. He is named Shaykhul Islam. And I will tell you now who had called him Shaykhul Islam. He was born in the year 373 Hijrah. So he's from the predecessors. Because Imam Ahmad, he was in the year 270. So you're talking about his birth just about after the death of Imam Ahmad by not a lot of time. So he came after those madhahib, 4 madhahib. 370. It's important to know this. It's important to link our Aqeedah to any scholar who is before Ibn Taymiyyah, because we've been accused that all your Aqeedah is Taymiyyah, you are Taymiyyun. But we're going to say that no, look at this. This is a book of Aqeedah which is before Ibn Taymiyyah by 200 years. When he died, before the birth of Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, Shaykh al-Islam, it's 200 years. So it can't be Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah, be the one who had been giving the source to this person, because he's before him. That's why it's important. طيب. He was born in Herat, in a place called Bushing. And this is said in Afghanistan, in that area. And when he took the majlis of his father to teach, he was, as I said, he was only 9 years old. It was 382 Hijri. He started to teach. Now we're going to see what the people of scholars had said about Al-Imam rahimahullah. Now he was so famous, and we could see here that he was called the Shaykh of Khurasan. Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, in a number of places of his books, he called him Shaykh al-Islam. Shaykh al-Islam means the Shaykh of Islam, the highest rank you can get. That was called by Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, calling him, and also Imam Ibn al-Qayyim, his students, they used to call him as well the Imam, Al-Imam, Al-Imam. So he's well known. And no doubt that this Shaykh, Abu Uthman Ismail ibn Abdul Rahman Al-Sabuni, is a great scholar. No doubt. And you cannot have more of a proof than the Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, who's got so many books. Ibn al-Qayyim, so many books, had verified this issue. Now his book, which is this, Aqeedah Salaf wa Ashab al-Hadith, is so famous that when the scholars refer to it, they call it Al-Risala al-Mashhura. Risala means the treatise. Mashhura means the famous. So when they call the famous treatise, that means this is the one. Aqeedah Salaf wa Ashab al-Hadith. We're going to talk about the name of it as well, inshallah, in a minute, and the reason why he had made it. Al-Imam rahimahullah. طيب. This Imam had shown in this, rahmatullah alayhi. By the way, he died when he was 76 years old. He died in the year 449 after Hijrah. Between 449 and 373, that's 76 years. They said he died out of a plague. Allahu A'lam. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he had quoted number of times in his books from this Aqeedah. He quoted number of times from this Aqeedah. Because this Aqeedah is distinguished. And I'll tell you why it is distinguished. Shaykh al-Islam, he quoted from that. Imam al-Dhahabi, he quoted from this Aqeedah as well. Okay? So all of them used to take Shaykh al-Islam in a number of places, like in Dar al-Ta'arud. It's a great book of Shaykh al-Islam. He had a number of places where he quoted from Aqeedat al-Risala al-Mashhura, which is Aqeedat al-Salaf wa Ashab al-Hadith. This Aqeedah, Abu Uthman, he had shown into it the first Aqeedat, the people of Salaf, the people of Al-Hadith, in the Uluhiyyah, Al-Rububiyyah, Al-Asma' wal-Sifat. And that is, and definitely any Aqeedah has to include this. Then he went to the Sifat and expanded. Aqeedat Al-Rububiyyah wal-Uluhiyyah, there's not a lot of explanation for it. But when it came to the Sifat, As-Sifat, the attributes of Allah, he expanded on that. And he had focused upon some Sifat, and there are three. Those Sifat which are three, that he focused upon, they were the ones which distinguishing Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, the people of the Salaf, the people of Ashab al-Hadith, from the other deviant partisans and sects and firqa and methodologies. What are the three things from the Sifat that Al-Imam was focused upon? He focused upon, number one, Sifatul Kalam, the speech of Allah, in which he had said, Allah Azza wa Jal, he spoke with a letter and with a sound which is suitable to his majesty. And the speech, ya Akhwani, is an attribute of Allah which is linked to his actions and linked to his essence. Linked to his essence, Allah is speaking, he was speaking, and he always speaking. Linked to his actions, that there is, if there's something happen, Allah will initiate a speech for that. And he speaks whenever he wills, whenever he wishes, and wherever he wishes. لا يزال الله متكلما كان وسيكون وأينما شاء Allah Azza wa Jalla يتكلم. Second thing that he talked about, al-ulu wal-istiwa, that Allah is above. So he talked about rising above the throne. Then the third one he focused upon is al-ru'ya. We will see Allah Azza wa Jal. Seeing Allah, but we don't encompass the seeing of Allah. Allah Azza wa Jal لا تدركه الأبصار. In this dunya and also in the akhirah, we cannot see except what Allah told us, the face. And even the face, we don't have the encompassing of that face. We have to see the face. لا نحيط. Allah will see him. Because this will distinguish us from the Mu'tazila. Al-Istiwa will distinguish us from the Asha'ira and Maturidiyya. In this Aqeedah also he talked about the punishment of the grave. And also the delight of the grave. For some of the people deny anything to do with the punishment of the grave. Also he talked about paradise and hell. They are created. Not like the Mu'tazila, they said it's not created yet. He talked about the qada wal qadar, the decree. He talked about the creed of Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah regarding al-Iman. What is the definition of the Iman? Which we know it as to be the 5 noons. What is the 5 noons? That means words or phrases will end with the noon. To summarize our Aqeedah, in Iman. What is Iman and belief? So it is ما وقر في الجنان. What is inside the heart. So that is, it's in the heart. That's the Iman. But also with it, نطق به اللسان, uttered by the tongue. So if you have a tongue and you can speak, you have to utter the word of the kalima of La ilaha illallah. وهو أيضا, and this is also عمل الجوارح والأركان. Listen to me. In. Janan, heart. Lisan, tongue. Arkan, the limbs. Because those limbs, they are the branches of the root which is in the heart. Then يزيد بطاعة الرحمن وينقص بطاعة الشيطان. It increases by the obedience of Allah, Ar-Rahman, and also decreases by the obedience of Shaitan. So these are the 5 noons. And he had talked about that as well. Then he talked about Aqeedah Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah regarding As-Sahaba, and that's a manhaj. Aqeedah. What do we say? Because to distinguish ourselves from those who are Rafidah, Shia. Also, he talked about the waswasa of the shaitan. He talked about the sahara, the magicians and the sorcerers, soothsayers. He talked about the will of Allah. He talked about the mashi'ah. What is the difference between mashi'ah and the irada? Because the irada is two wills, but the mashi'ah is only one, which is universal. And he talked about the good and the bad. He talked about the guidance and its categories. He talked about that the actions of the human being is to be created. Allah created us and our actions. This is like to be differentiating ourselves from the Mu'tazila. Also, he talked about the pool, the pond, Hawd. Talked about the Kawthar, the river, which Allah had given it to the Prophet ﷺ. Talked about the Shafa'ah, intercession. Okay? All of that is a little matan. And by Allah, this matan has got also chain of narrators. If you take the chain of narrators, we'll be left with little of the little. It hasn't been done yet. So if you take the narrators, just left with the sayings, little, because this is what distinguishes the book, as we're going to see. Talked about how the hadith is to be established, and that how we Ahl Sunnah accept al-khabar al-wahid. Something which is correct, we'll accept it. Il-aqa'id wal-ahkam. In aqeedah and ahkam, we don't differentiate that it has to be mutawatir in aqeedah, but the ahkam, it doesn't matter if it's mutawatir. We don't say that. As long as this hadith is to be authenticated by its narrators, by also the matan of it, and that there is no illah in it, then if it fulfills the definition of the hadith, then we accept it straight away. And he gives example. So this is the aqeedah of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, in contrast to the aqeedah of those people who are away from Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Some of the scholars, rahimahumullah, had said so many sayings to praise the Imam. I have skipped some of that, and we're going to go now to what are the things that distinguishes, okay, this treatise. We have said what is in it, but what distinguishes? Why is it really important for us as well to read it? And why the scholars like Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, he was so caring about this treatise. As I said, Ibn al-Qayyim used to take a lot from it. Why is it so important? Because we do have other books of Aqeedah just after Imam al-Lalaka'i. So, and al-Hakami, Alam al-Sunnah al-Manshura. They've got lots of scholars who had done Aqeedah, but why this one is important? It's important, number one, it is because it is a very clear treatise regarding the Aqeedah of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, which is the clear honey. So it is a clear one. There's not complication. Imam Abu Uthman, Ismail ibn Abdurrahman al-Sabuni did not use terminologies that are hard, very easy. Secondly, it is important, this one, it's because it has as well, not just, you could say it's clear, but the terminologies, as I said, you could add that one as one. The wordings are very easy for the people to understand. Thirdly, that it is one of the few books which got the sanad. And when you have something sanad, it's not just for the saying of the Prophet of Allah, no. Even the sanad to the companion, if he said it, or the sanad of the scholar, if he said it, the chain, and that makes it as well extra important. This gives it like an extra edge, extra flavor. Also, the fourth thing, that this is a treatise which is not just Quran and Sunnah, filled with some of the quotations. It's been taken from great scholars. So it has number of quotations from the Kibar al-A'imma, like Imam Ahmad, like Imam al-Shafi'i, Imam Ishaq ibn Rahawayh. All of those Imams' quotation was there in the book. Also, this treatise, as I said, I'm going to talk about it, is from the ones which are before Ibn Taymiyyah. And it's very early stages. We're talking about the 4th century. He's, by the way, the 4th and the 5th century. So the 4th century, when you trace Aqeedah like this, and then you compare that Aqeedah to the Aqeedah which is being said and done after him, Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah. We studied some of the Aqeedah. I don't know if we studied it here or not. But, like for example, Al-Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, he has number of booklets in the Aqeedah to do with the Asma, the Sifat, and the Al-Aqeedah Tadmuriyah, Al-Aqeedah Al-Wasitiyah. All these are Aqeedah. Shaykh Ibn Taymiyyah, he quoted from him. This is before. Also, if you look at the new books of Aqeedah, Al-Aqeedah, Shaykh Ibn Baz made Aqeedah, Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen made Aqeedah, he made Al-Qawa'id Al-Muthla. If you read the books of Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah, and you read the books of Aqeedah, which is all of them upon the Aqeedah al-Salaf, the ones who are very recent like Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen, you'll find them they are the same. They don't differ. So first of all, we're not Taymiyyin because this is before us. Abu Uthman al-Sabuni, it's like when you accuse Ibn Taymiyyah to be Wahhabi. Huh? Taymiyyah is Wahhabi. How could he be Wahhabi? Muhammad Wahhabi is just about 200 years ago he died, and you said Ibn Taymiyyah is Wahhabi. He doesn't know. Muhammad Wahhabi came about hundreds of years after. Muhammad Wahhabi came hundreds of years after Ibn Taymiyyah. How can you say Ibn Taymiyyah Wahhabi? That's how they are, subhanallah. So Ibn Taymiyyah is not the one who had done this Aqeedah. So this Aqeedah is before Ibn Taymiyyah. And it's before Al-Imam Al-Sabuni. Where is it from? Al-Quran wa Sunnah. And Aqeedah to Salaf al-Salih. So this is the Aqeedah, the source of it is one. And you cannot have more proof that this Aqeedah is clear and crystal, is that all of them, they are the same. Whether it is the one before or the one after. You match them, subhanallah. You'll find all of those interwoven Aqeedah together. From Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah to Shaykh al-Islam, also here Ibn Uthaymeen to Shaykh al-Islam, before them Abu Uthman al-Sabuni, all of them Aqeedah wahida. Alhamdulillah. طيب. Now we're coming to your turn, Ya Ahmad. We're going to just start to talk about the reason for the treatise. Fadl.
Author's introduction. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of all things. The final outcome is in favor of the pious. May Allah raise the rank of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family and all his companions.
Hang on. Go on.
To proceed, when I arrived at Amul in Tabaristan and the lands of Jilan, heading towards the sacred house of Allah and a visit to the grave of his Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, my brothers in faith asked me to compile for them some passages on the foundations of the religion, which which the early Imams of the religion, the Muslim scholars, and the righteous predecessors all adhered to themselves, guided the people with and called them to in every era, forbade the pious believing people from opposing or negating them, allied themselves with those who followed them, the foundations.
I didn't see that
Disavowed-
sentence after that, after you said in every place they were calling for it, and they what? Because translation didn't really.
Forbade the pious believing people from opposing or negating them, allied themselves with those who followed them, the foundations,
No.
disavowed others based on them, judged the opposition of such foundations to be apostates, secured the goodness and the blessings of such foundations for themselves and all those they preach to, gone off, that is, passed away, to the rewards they earned for their personal conviction and adherence, as well as their guidance of the people and how they ushered them into embracing them, the foundations. So I performed istikhara, a prayer offered to seek good outcomes to Allah, and then I penned what was easy of that request in a summarized way, hoping that people of intellect and insight would find benefit in it. It is Allah alone, from His grace and bounty, who may bring to fruition what is hoped for and provide us with success and uprightness upon the path of guidance and truth. I say,
Just it. Alas. Stop. This is the first paragraph. I'm not going to be able to do all of it. I'll just summarize. First, Imam rahimahullah, he started by praising the Almighty subhanahu wa ta'ala. And he said, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. And I'm not going to go into explaining each word, what is Alhamdulillah and what is Rabbil Alameen. That will take us a lot of classes. So he started by praising the Almighty, and then he said that the destiny for those who are pious and may have the peace and blessings upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then he says to proceed. فَإِنِّي, when I went to, he said amul, but the books, it says in Arabic amid with a dal. No, don't correct anything. I didn't say anything. Actually, the translation is correct. The translator is the one who's done correct. But the book is the one which is wrong. All the books which I come across upon them, in the Arabic it says amid. And that is tasheef, 100%. Today I spend so much time just to get the maps of all of these cities because they are changed. Amid is not correct. And the translator, he said amul. Why? Because he said Amid Tabaristan. Amid is not in Tabaristan. It's in Diyar Bakr. Diyar Bakr is in the southern part of Turkey. And that is too far from the area where he said he's going to Hajj. And remember, he is in Khurasan, in the area of Harat and this area. So if he's in that area, Khurasan, and he is close by from the area where he has been born, Naysabur as well, then to go to Hajj, he wouldn't travel this way. So this is Kaaba, okay? This is Kaaba, and he's here. And what he's saying here, which it says Amid, which is, I think is misprint from the Bonza, is to go this way and then go this way. There's no route like that. Okay, but it's Amul. Amul is it's the capital of the area called Tabaristan. Tabaristan is the northern side of Iran. There's a water there as well, called Tabaristan. So that is called Tabaristan. And also makes it correct, makes it as well more emphasis, it's called Bilad Jilan. Jilan, they call it now Kaylan or Jilan. Also, this is next door to Amul, not to Amid, which is too far. So, what's so special about Amul? Abu Amul is a great city through which we have Imam Muhammad bin Ja'far al-Tabari. He was born there. Imam al-Lalaka'i, who just came just about after Sabuni. He made as well I'tiqad Ahl-Sunnah, which is he made as well a treatise regarding the Aqeedah. Is from Amul. And as for Jilan, whom do you think came from Jilan? You should know it. Who's that? Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, great scholar. Not the Sufi Abdul Qadir al-Jilani. He was not Sufi. Qadir al-Jilani is this a different person. He's the same, but they made him, that. But he's not. Qadir al-Jilani is a great scholar, rahimahullah. But whatever is being attributed to him, it's not correct. So he was from there as well, from Jilan. He says the mountain, the place of Jilan. They wrote to him. So when he went to that place, passing to go into Hajj, he says, متوجها إلى بيت الله الحرام, heading towards Bayt Allah al-Haram, which is the Kaaba. Then he said, وزيارة قبر نبيه محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه الكرام. Okay, before I go to visit the grave of the Prophet and elaborate here, he said, صلى الله عليه وعلى آله. What is the al here? Al is definitely the family of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, the wives of the Prophet of Allah, the blood relation like Al-Hasan, Hussein, Fatima, and Ali, and Al-Aqil. This is the Al, and also the companions in the Al. So why does he say وَعَلَى آلِهِ وَأَصْحَابِهِ? This is more emphasis. عَلَى آلِهِ and وَأَصْحَابِهِ. Al-Kiram, the noble. So the Al is all the followers of the Prophet ﷺ, including his family. Now, scholars, they say that any person, regardless how high is in knowledge, he makes mistakes. But let me tell you something, Ikhwan. Imam Abu Uthman al-Sabuni, he has no bid'ah whatsoever. He has no major mistakes regarding the Aqeedah. But the small mistakes always takes place. Now, from those mistakes that some of the scholars, they said, and lots of scholars, they said, when he said وَزِيَارَةِ قَبْرِ نَبِيِّهِ مُحَمَّدٍ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ, because the big issue comes in here. لا تشد الرحال إلا إلى ثلاث. That you cannot designate a journey except to three places. Al-Masjid al-Haram, which as he mentioned at the beginning, Al-Masjid al-Aqsa, wa Masjidi Hada, the Masjid of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. You can't designate a journey to other than these three places. That's why some of the scholars, or lots of scholars, they said that's a mistake. We'll investigate this mistake. First of all, as well, regarding this issue, we say that the Imam, rahimahullah, he's a great scholar. Not only that, he's writing for us a Aqeedah to take us away from the shirk. Do you think that the Imam, he would say a statement that would negate the core of the book, the teachers he's doing? Do you think that? Definitely not. طيب. قبر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, the grave of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم. Where is it at the moment? Where is it? In Medina, where? In the masjid. He was not buried in the masjid, but it's in the masjid. Part of the masjid, drawn on. So when a person goes to the grave, he has to go where? To the masjid. Do you understand that important? It's very important. You can't. So it is impossible to imagine a person going to see the grave of the Prophet of Allah without coming to the masjid. That's why Shaykh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah, he says, rahimahullah, in Majmu' al-Fatawa, regarding this issue, he says that no one would go to the Prophet's grave without intending to come to the masjid except one of the two. Ignorant. He doesn't know the importance of the masjid, or a kafir. Meaning a person who's like from those Sufis, whom they think calling onto the creation, which is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is more important than calling the creator, that is Allah. Do you understand that? Sufi is heading to the Prophet to talk to him. So Al-Imam rahimahullah, when he said this, he's not the first person to say that. There's a number of people that said it. Imam al-Tabari had said it. Imam al-Qurtubi had said it. When they said that to go and visit the grave of the Prophet of Allah. So the scholars, when they say this is known amongst them that this is taba'. What's taba'? Entailed. When you visit the masjid of the Prophet, you visit what? The grave. When you visit the masjid, you visit the grave. Do you understand that? So this taba' lahu hukm al-asl. So when he says to visit the grave, he's definitely intending that is to visit the grave after he comes to what? To the masjid of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. 100%. So this is like 1 + 1 = 2. But it's being said at that time, as if I'm going to visit the grave of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he's already automatically is meant, that is to visit the masjid and then to go and visit the grave. But even we're gonna explain, was that expression used by the Prophet, by the companions, by those who have been praised to be from the 3 generations whom the Prophet of Allah praised, Salaf? None of them had said that. So why should we use an expression that can be misleading? Okay, so the Prophet of Allah did not say that, to visit the grave of his like that. And also the companions never said, I'm going to go and visit the grave. Also the ones who are from the 3 generations, which the Prophet he said are the best generation, none of them had said, we're going to go to visit the grave. So in terms of him intending shirk, that's 100% no. You have to say that, because it's impossible action-wise to go to the grave without coming to the masjid of the Prophet of Allah. So he's intending to the masjid. So fi'liyan, it's impossible. And also that this person is a scholar. He's making a aqeedah to fight the Sufis, to fight. He's going to be doing what the Sufis are doing? No, it's impossible. But as I said, it would have been awla, more priority to visit the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ. Okay, it would be awla. But in his area, in his time, that was known when you say to visit the grave, and the grave of the Prophet Ikhwan is different from other graves. Meaning, other graves you're going to visit them, they're not part of the masjid. They're not part of the masjid. You're going to visit the grave, and that's why it's haram. لا تشد الرحال إلا إلى 3. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he went to At-Tur, which is Masjid At-Tur in Sinai, where Allah spoke to Musa alayhi salam. He found there Ka'b ibn Mata', the Jewish rabbi who embraced Islam, and they had a chit chat, and then he left and he found somebody called Abu Basra al-Ghifari radiallahu anhu. Where are you coming from, Abu Hurairah? He said, from At-Tur. He says, he's traveling there. He said, if I met you before you went, I would have told you not to go. He said, why? He said, because I've heard the Prophet ﷺ saying, لا تعمل المطيع إلا إلى 3 مساجد. You should not designate a religious journey except to 3 masjids. Not to Masjid Al-Tur. You're not allowed to do that. Yes, you want to go to a masjid because he's got a talk, he's got Sami, there's something else, but you think there is extra reward in that masjid, it's not allowed. You think a Prophet of Allah or Allah will encourage us to go and learn here and give salah here in Brixton, for example? It's got a flavor of it. No, it hasn't. Are you coming for a class? Yes, but not because it is Brixton. Is it mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah, Brixton? طيب. So that's inshallah that would settle this issue regarding waziyarat qabr Nabihi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, my brothers in the religion, the Muslims who were there, they've asked me, they requested me to make a treatise in which the treatise is going to combine what the people of Ahlul Sunnah had agreed upon. And then we talked about what was in the book that he had made. He says at the end of it, he said, قال فاستخرت الله. Istikhara is to pray 2 rak'ah. These 2 rak'ah, you'll ask Allah Azza wa Jal to set you upon the correct path. Should I go ahead or shouldn't I go ahead? But you don't go with making istikhara on something which is obvious you need to do. I want to make istikhara, shall I pray or shall I not pray? So you're going to pray 2 rak'ah in order to make istikhara if you want to pray or not. Look at that. Can't. I want to make istikhara to fast Ramadan this year or not? Huh? You make istikhara on that. Also on the things which are nothing to do with, is to do with the dunya. I want to make istikhara. Shall I eat for the rest of my life or shall I not eat? You have to eat because you're going to die. Also, the ones which are insignificant. I'm going to make istikhara. Shall I eat curry or kebab? So we said insignificant, don't make istikhara. Something to do with 100% you're going to do it, you don't make istikhara. In the deed, something you have to do it, you can't make istikhara. But he asked istikhara to make a piece of the aqeedah. Why? It's aqeedah. Why he made istikhara, you think? Yallah. It's aqeedah. You ask him to do aqeedah. He's going to make istikhara. There are so many aqeedah that have been made before him. So he's saying that I'm making istikhara. Is it needed? With all these before me, the aqeedahs before me, Ibn Manda and other scholars who had made this aqeedah before me. So am I needed? Imam Ahmad made his book, Surah Sunnah. Do I need to make another aqeedah? All this. So this is the istikhara. It's like a person making istikhara for his hajj, which is voluntary, not the obligatory. The obligatory, you have fulfilled the condition, you must make your hajj. But now you're making a voluntary. So you're making istikhara. Shall I make the istikhara? Shall I make this voluntary this year or the following year? Not in doing it, but when to do it. It's recommended to do it. But when to do it? So you're making istikhara. Same thing, he's making istikhara. Is it needed or not? Am I doing this aqeedah because I want to show that to the people how brilliant I am? By the way, he was a person who was known with his knowledge and known as well with his asceticism. What time is the adhan? Huh? No. Subhanallah, on time, yani. Allahumma barik.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
حي على الصلاة.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
حي على الفلاح.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
حي على الفلاح.
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
الله أكبر، الله أكبر.
الله أكبر، الله أكبر.
لا إله إلا الله.
لا إله إلا الله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم رب هذه الدعوة التامة الصلاة القائمة التي محمد وسيلة وفضيلة وبعث مقام. طيب إخواني, just before as well give you the question and answers now session, the very important to understand when we visit the grave of the Prophet ﷺ, this is a person who's coming from outside the Medina, or a person who is in the Medina but left for a journey and came back. But every time you go and pray in the Medina, the masjid, to go and visit the grave, this is not from the Sunnah. So the Sunnah, like a person, he wasn't living in the Medina, and then he went out to Mecca or to a place, and he came back, then he will make a visit, but once. Same as for us as well. We make the visit once when we go there. We don't make the visit after that, until we go to another place and come back, yes, to visit the grave. But not every prayer that you go there, you visit the grave, that's not from the Sunnah. Right, alhamdulillah, we'll stop here inshallah, and we'll start talking from the, we're going to be starting, Ahmad, just going to mark my, he says, I said, by Allah tawfiq, yes?
Yes, Sheikh.
That's the one. So that's from there you're going to start inshallah. This is where it's the start of the Aqeedah itself. And as for the chains, I'm not going to let Ahmad to recite the narrators, the names. He will go straight away to the method of that. Right. Any questions, Ikhwani? Aqeedah comes first. If you don't have any Aqeedah question, we'll take it from there, inshallah. Any Aqeedah question? Fadal?
Is it early to ask about Ibadiyya?
To ask about? Ibadiyya. Al-Ibadiyya. Too early to ask about the Ibadiyya. Well, we're not going to discuss about the Ibadiyya, but we're going to, when we talk about some of the Aqaid that the Ibadiyya, they don't believe in, Al-Ibadiyya is is a branch from the Khawarij, and they are residing at the moment in Oman. But Ahl Sunnah is more than them. They do not insult the companions like the Rafidah. Al-Ibadiyya, they have a problem with two companions, not one, and that is Uthman and Ali. But they don't make them to be kuffar, remember that. And they have with them that the major sins will take the person outside the Islam. Al-Ibadiyya and Al-Khawarij, because Al-Khawarij is more than one firqa. It's Al-Azhariqah, Ibadiyya. They have, the common thing between them is that the Iman does not go up and down. That's why the Iman is going to be defined that it goes up and down. Goes up with the obedience of Allah, goes down with the obedience of shaitan. But those people, they say no, the Iman is one love. If you do something wrong, sin, you'll be a kafir. So they are part of the Khawarij. Now, by the way, they are much better than the Rafidah. Al-Rafidah, we cannot say the Ibadiyya kuffar, but you could say the ones who are believing in the Rawafidism principles is a kafir. Not every Rafid is a kafir, but every person who believes in the principles of Rawafid. Because some of the Rawafid, they don't know what's going on. They're ignorant. No, one more. Can't say. Anybody else? Fadal? Any other points? Okay. Now, if there's no question, I'll go to you.
Some people say you can't pray behind them.
Sorry?
Some people say you can't pray behind them.
Some people, they can't pray behind them. Now, if I've been having the choice, I don't pray behind any person who's got a bid'ah. Because they've got a bid'ah. And it's a big bid'ah. Because as I said, they say the Iman does not go up and down. They are the same as the Murji'ah, but the other side. Murji'ah, they say the Iman does not go up and down. We Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah in the middle, we say, no, it goes up and down. Allah said, فَزَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا. Those are the people of Allah. قَدْ جَمَعُوا لَكُمْ فَخْشَوْهُمْ فَزَادَتْهُمْ إِيمَانًا. The people that gather, they're gonna beat you up, they're gonna kill you. Made them more Iman. So if the Iman goes up, it must go down as well. Whenever it goes up, it has the flexibility to go down. So for this person, if I believe that he's a Rafidah and I prayed behind him because I didn't have a choice, there's no problem, your prayer is valid. Al-Ibadiyya, your prayer behind him is valid. But if I knew that and I have a choice, I shouldn't be praying behind except for the people of Al-Sunnah. Alright? But behind the Rafidi, no. Behind the Brilwi, no. because their bid'ah are mukaffira. Allahu a'lam. نعم. تفضل يا زهرة.
Assalamu alaikum.
السلام.
You know the hadith about not going to the masjid with garlic or onion breath because it will annoy other worshippers? If you're praying at home by yourself, is that still not recommended to do?
Okay, it's a very good question. You see, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, إِنَّ الْمَلَائِكَةَ لَتَتَأَذَّى مِمَّا يَتَأَذَّى مِنْهُ بَنُو آدَمَ. Verily, the angels are to be harmed from whatever harms the people. So the angels, they don't like that smell. And when the person, he makes a prayer, he is not just caring about the people which is around him, also should care about the one who's speaking to him, that is Allah Azza wa Jal. So when he comes to the prayer, Ya Bani Adam, خُذُوا زِينَتَكُمْ عِنْدَ كُلِّ masjid. O son of Adam, take your beauty in every salah. Masjid here means salah. So you do salah. So I take my beauty. It's like I'm having an interview. What do? Put the dress, my smell. I don't just go with any clothes, smelling horrible. I have to prepare yourself for the prayer. So you're making a communication with the Almighty. Is the Almighty less important than your boss who's going to be interviewing you? A'udhu billah. So if you believe that you are speaking to Allah, you will take the best. You'll make sure that you brush your teeth. That's what the Prophet in every salah has the siwak. Why is having the siwak? To clean his mouth. Whether he is the leader, or he is with the people, or he's praying on his own. During the night, he's on his own. Shah Safa, he's always making sure that his mouth is clean. He's getting ready for the prayers. It's not just, let me just pray, regardless of how I look. So it is as well important that he should be cleaning himself from that garlic and that smell when he is praying on his own at home. In the masjid, there's another obligations, which is that you cannot be having a bad smell. Whether it's from the body or your mouth, you cannot. Because you're going to be harming not the angels, you're going to harm the people. And you remember when the Prophet said, when the person he is making the prayer, looks like there's an angel taking the word from him. How can the angel kind of get close to your mouth when your mouth is, unbearable? So the angel is going to get close to you and he's going to be harmed from that smell. So when you are with the people, there's a right of the people here. The right of the people is not being tolerated. Prophet of Allah, he commanded with these two people who came to the masjid that were eating garlic to be taken by the feet and the hands. Imagine, you're carrying by the feet and the hands and to be thrown in the Baqi'. Baqi' is the dead people. Dead people are not going to smell you. Go be there. So this is really important. So you'll be taken by the hands and the feet. You'll be taken all the way to that Baqi'. You're not supposed to live with amongst the live people. طيب, by this, alhamdulillah, we'll finish. جزاكم الله خيرا وأحسن الله إليكم. Inshallah, we'll do the prayer. بارك الله فيكم. I just found out something, إخواني, here.